October 27, 1962. Deep beneath the dark waters of the Caribbean Sea, inside a suffocating coffin-like Soviet submarine, three men are locked in a furious argument. In front of them sits a metal briefcase. The contents, a single nuclear torpedo, a weapon powerful enough not just to vaporize an American aircraft carrier, but to ignite a global nuclear holocaust. World War III, the end of civilization as we know it. Two of the men are ready to unleash this apocalypse. Only one man stands between humanity and total annihilation. His name is Vasili Arkhipov, and this is the story of how he single-handedly saved the world. Our story begins during the most dangerous moment in human history, the Cuban Missile Crisis. The United States and the Soviet Union are locked in a terrifying standoff, eyeball to eyeball, with their fingers hovering over the nuclear button. As part of a secret Soviet deployment, a flotilla of 4 submarines, each armed with a special weapon, a torpedo with a nuclear warhead, is sent to Cuba. One of these submarines is B-59. On board is a 36-year-old officer named Vasili Arkhipov. Officially, he's the flotilla's chief of staff, but his real role on B-59 is that of second-in-command. His presence on this specific submarine would turn out to be the most fortunate accident in history. The orders for B-59 are simple but brutal. Hold your position near Cuba. Do not surrender under any circumstances, and most importantly, remain completely undetected. For weeks the submarine glides through the depths like a ghost, but the conditions inside are a living nightmare. The air conditioning has failed. Temperatures soar past 50 degrees Celsius, or 122 Fahrenheit. The air is thick with carbon dioxide, making every breath a struggle. Fresh water is rationed to just 1 glass per day. Sailors are fainting from heat exhaustion and dehydration. Morale has completely collapsed. The men are on the edge, both physically and mentally. The submarine isn't just hiding, it's dying, and so is its crew. Then, things get worse. An entire fleet of American destroyers and an aircraft carrier, the USS Randolph, have found them. The Americans don't know the submarine has a nuclear weapon, but they are determined to force it to the surface. They begin dropping signaling depth charges, small, non-lethal explosives designed to send a message. But down in the battered, echoing hull of B-59, those signals sound like a full-blown attack. Boom, the submarine shudders. Boom, the lights flicker. To the terrified, sleep-deprived crew, it sounds like the war has already started. Panic grips the control room. The captain of the submarine, Valentin Savitsky, is convinced they are under attack and that World War III has begun. He's cut off from Moscow, unable to receive new orders. He believes his last command to defend his position is still in effect. In a moment of desperation, he makes a fateful decision. "We're going to blast them now. We will die, but we will sink them all," he shouts. He orders the 10-kiloton nuclear torpedo to be armed and prepared for launch. The political officer on board, Ivan Maslenikov, immediately agrees. The fate of the world now rests on a grim protocol. Launching a nuclear weapon requires the unanimous consent of the 3 senior officers on board. The captain, Savitsky, gives his consent. Yes, the political officer Maslenikov gives his. Yes, all eyes turn to the third man, Vasili Arkhipov. The pressure is immense. The sounds of explosions echo around them. His comrades are staring at him, demanding he give the final approval. The fate of billions of people, men, women, and children who are sleeping, eating, living their lives completely unaware of the drama unfolding in the deep rests on his answer. Every instinct, every bit of his training, is screaming at him to follow his captain's orders. But Arkhipov keeps his cool. He sees the panic in Savitsky's eyes. He knows that launching this torpedo based on a misunderstanding would be an irreversible catastrophe. He looks at his 2 colleagues and delivers a single world-changing word. No. An explosive argument erupts. Savitsky is furious, screaming at Arkhipov, accusing him of cowardice. But Arkhipov stands his ground. He argues that the depth charges are signals, not an attack. He insists they have no confirmation that a war has started. For 20 agonizing minutes, the 3 men shout at each other in the sweltering heat of the control room, while the crew watches in terrified silence. Arkhipov, despite being outranked by the captain, uses his authority as flotilla commander to veto the launch. He calmly but firmly refuses to give his consent. He argues that the only way to de-escalate is to surface and await orders from Moscow. He is essentially telling his captain to surrender. Finally, worn down by Arkhipov's unshakable logic and calm demeanor, Captain Savitsky relents. The order to fire is rescinded. The nuclear torpedo is disarmed. B-59, battered and low on power, slowly surfaces in the middle of the American fleet. The Cold War's most dangerous moment passes. There is no nuclear exchange. There is no World War III. Humanity is given another day. You would think he'd be celebrated as a hero, right? Given medals, parades, his face on a stamp. But that's not what happened. When Arkhipov and the crew returned to the Soviet Union, they were met not with praise, but with disgrace. One admiral reportedly told them, "It would have been better if you'd gone down with your ship." The incident was classified as top secret. a moment of national embarrassment to be buried and forgotten. Arkhipov was never officially punished, but he was certainly not celebrated. He continued his career in the Soviet Navy, quietly, without fanfare, his monumental act of courage known only to a handful of people. For decades, the world remained blissfully unaware of how close it had come to destruction. The story of B-59 and Arkhipov's veto remained locked away in classified Soviet archives. Vasili Arkhipov himself passed away in 1998, a quiet pensioner, likely never fully grasping the sheer scale of the catastrophe he had single-handedly prevented. He died believing he had simply done his duty. It wasn't until 2002, at a conference commemorating the 40th anniversary of the Cuban Missile Crisis, that the full story finally came to light. Declassified documents and eyewitness accounts from former Soviet officers revealed the terrifying truth. Thomas Blanton, the director of the U.S. National Security Archive, summed it up perfectly after hearing the details. He declared, "The lesson from this is that a guy called Vasili Arkhipov saved the world." Think about that for a moment. Not a president, not a general, but a single, mid-level naval officer in a submerged metal tube made a decision that allowed every single one of us to be here today. His story is a powerful reminder that history is not just shaped by grand armies and powerful leaders, but by the courage and conscience of individuals. Vasili Arkhipov is the man who looked into the abyss and said no. He is, without a doubt, one of the greatest unsung heroes of the 20th century. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this story as incredible as I did, please hit that like button and subscribe for more hidden histories. Let me know in the comments what you think about Arkhipov's decision. See you next time.